Hey, for lifers, this is Play for Life coming back for the June episode, which is season 2, episode 6 of Chatterday, Community Chatterday. This month, we're talking about summer blockbusters. So we're going to talk primarily about Transformers: Rise of the Beast, and then also Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. Oops, sorry about that. I should turn off my notifications here so we don't get any background noise. But yeah, those are going to be the things that we talk about today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, let's see. Robot Show Tunes asked, "Will Rise of the Beast come first?" I have not seen Across the Spider-Verse. That's kind of a so I think Anthony and Luigiano have both only seen Spider-Verse, right? Okay, so we're probably going to tackle that first, and then I might have to ping you afterwards. Um, Robot Show Tunes to join later or something like that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the deck. Oh, actually, this is not updated. Hold on. That's weird. Give me a second. Let me remove this. Oh, it might be because I made edits after the fact. I shared. Hopefully this works. Oh, that's weird. All right, well, we're just going to do past it. So we usually do guest tech specs, an opportunity for all the guests here to kind of give a little bit of background on who they are. These are all old ones, so we'll go ahead and skip that. But let's go ahead and go around the table and let folks introduce themselves. First and foremost, let's go with one of our recurring guests. He's basically a regular here. It's Anthony Brown Jr. Anthony, why don't you give a background to everyone out there in TV land?
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for having me again, Pate. Love doing these with you. I'm Anthony Brown, comic enthusiast, Transformer enthusiast, nerd by day, nerd by night, regular guest on the show, I guess. So, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it. Let's move over to Luigiano.
Hello, everyone. Luigiano, fan of the show and like talking Transformers movies. Please excuse the mess. Uh, Here to talk about Across the Spider-Verse.
All right, appreciate Luigiano, and then we're going to go ahead and get over to a new guest here, first time on here, Primax.
So yeah, my name is Primax. I am a Transformers collector. I'm still new to the third party, but I collect old stuff like Game Boys, like that, some consoles, some retro consoles. Yeah, and I love comic books. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we see you have a Spider-Man back there.
Yeah. It's my mom gave it to me. When I was a kid, I still gonna cherish that. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. All right, I know TM is going to try to make it to. He said he's on his way. Primax, it seems like we do have a bit of an echo when you're on. So if you're not speaking, do you mind muting? And then hopefully that will help.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Oh yes, Robot. Yeah, we were just talking about you, Robot Show Tune. So Robot Show Tune says, "Oh, Primax, so you are so annoying." Just
Yeah, I saw your page on Facebook because you were in a Filipino Transformers group, and then you were posting a photo. So yeah, I followed you on Facebook. So yeah.
there you go, making connections. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get into the first segment. Always a fan favorite. It's going to be this or that. We're going to go through this live in the chat as well. So let me put it up in the chat. But if you're joining us live, you can do the poll. So let me get this set up real quick, and then you can join us. So the first one is this or that. Remember, the rules of the game are you have two choices. You have to pick one or the other. No fence setting. You got to pick either one item or the other item, and then you can justify that. So let's go ahead. Oh, no, that's not the right one I'm trying to do. I'm trying to start a poll here. So give me a second. So these are for the what's it called, popcorn holders that the various movie theaters have for Rise of the Beast. So I think the one on the left is the Optimus Prime head, and that is from I think Cinemark. Although my local one did not have it, and the one on the right is the AMC truck version of Optimus Prime. So in the live poll, go ahead and cast your vote if you wanted to get one of these, or if you have one of these, which one do you prefer? So first and foremost, let's go to Anthony. Which one would you go for?
I'm definitely taking the truck because it has dual functionality, right? Like the trailer holds popcorn, the front is basically an oversized juice box. So I've got to go with the truck trailer.
Oh man, but even though it's $50, it's a lot of money.
I mean, is there anything that's not overpriced at a movie theater?
Good point.
Very, very true. That's very true. All right. So what about you, Luigiano? I know you're not a live-action Transformers fan, but if you wanted to add one of these to your collection to eat popcorn out of, which one would you be getting?
They both look nice. I haven't seen them in person except for like when T Review showed like the Optimus Prime head. But like when I first first saw these, between the two, I would go with the Prime head. But yes, you're right, Anthony. Like almost everything's freaking expensive at the theater. But like I'd rather crack open Prime's head and start
Eat his brains.
Yeah. And like T-Man was saying, to go with indie, it'd be better if it was Primal's head, like eating chipmunky brains.
Nice. All right, Max, why don't you go next? Which one would you go? Are you going this with Optimus Prime head or that with the truck?
Oh yeah, definitely the truck. What I love about the truck compared to Bumblebee, like it's so modified, and I agree with Luciano that it should have been different. Like Prime's truck, and then Optimus Primal's head instead of Optimus's head, and then another truck. What's interesting about the truck is like it's the trailer is like looks like MP44. I thought it's like MP10's trailer. So yeah.
All right, cool. So we got 2 for truck, 1 for head so far. And as McLuther G says, a wild TM reviews appears. Why don't you give us first your background, TM, and then you can go ahead and give us your vote on this or that.
My background? What's my background?
Like who you are, how people. I mean, most people in my chat know you, but if they don't,
okay,
get to know about your channel, what you do, your polos that you're selling.
All right, I thought you meant like what's behind me, like in my background.
Well, yeah, that's kind of weird too. What's
I'm not in my usual spot, so I'm upstairs in the office. Anyway, I have a YouTube channel, TM Reviews. So going on 7 years, I actually, Paik, you were my kind of inspiration to get started. One of my inspirations, anyway. I have a Facebook and Instagram, and I've been spending more time on Instagram, believe it or not. I'm trying to learn it. There's a guy, I don't know if you know him, Dusty, or TF Masterpiece Man. He's pretty cool.
Dusty Shells, we know. All right, so that's who you are. They can find you at TM Reviews on YouTube. And he says that, I was an inspiration, but now he's an inspiration to me. I think you crossed 10,000 subs not too long ago, and you're probably on your way to 20 by the time I get to 10. All right, so where are you on this? Are you going to get the head or the truck?
Well, I bought the head, and I'm disappointed with it. It's kind of cheap. I mean, it looks cool, but it's kind of cheap. So now I'm like, should I buy this truck? I don't know. People tell me that it's nice, but it is like $70. So
well, with shipping, they probably jack you on the shipping, right?
Yeah, it's like $15 or $16. But I think the truck is the answer, because as a display piece and just as something to just mess with, I think it's kind of cool. But I was gonna get one and just actually fill it with popcorn and soda just to make people go crazy, like literally on camera, like popcorn and soda in there. But I didn't do it yet. So I'm gonna go with truck.
Nice. So we got 3 for truck and only 1 head. I mean, I don't have either of these, but the one I instantly wanted was the head. I went to my local Cinemark, like I mentioned before, and they were like, "No, we don't have that." I'm like, "You're one of like 3 Cinemarks in like my area. Like, how can you not even have it?" So
I'll send
you. and it's only so for background, the head is $25 versus the truck, which is $50, and then the respective shipping. But as they said, there is a dual functionality, extra functionality, and as I Still Function commented, the smoke packs are straws, so you can share one with your Valentine or something like that, the same drink. That I don't know. That's kind of gross to me, sharing out the same drink. Whatever. Do you, I suppose. All right, so let's see where the poll ended on this. They're with you all. They're with Optimus Prime Truck. 2/3 of the votes went to Optimus Prime Truck. So there we go.
Pake, I'm confused. You're a parent, but you won't share a drink with your wife.
I don't know. That's kind of weird. I mean,
okay.
We can afford 2 different drinks. No, I'm just kidding. We actually do. I was just talking trash. I've literally eaten gum out of my wife's mouth before, and I didn't know it. So that's not even a lie, or a one-time occurrence. It's not like I was desperate. It's like a regular thing. Whatever. All right, let's go to the next. This or that. We only have 2 today because there's a lot of other stuff they're going to go through. So let's go to the next one. This is the classic debate. Who is your Spider-Man, right? You either got classic OG Spider-Man, Peter Parker, or the new blood, the cool Miles Morales, who obviously takes front and center at the Spiderverse series. So you got to pick this or that. This is a super hard one for me, but that's why the fun ones are the ones that are super hard, where you got to pick this or that. So
what's the context of the pick?
What's that?
What's the context? You're picking.
No, I mean just they're cool photos. They both have recent, Spider.
Oh, I thought you were referring to the game.
No,
you're referring to
not the game. Okay, that's what I was asking.
That's not. I don't think that's a fair comparison, because Miles Morales is almost like a DLC as opposed to a whole game.
So you're talking about character.
The character. We're talking about
Parker or Miles Morales.
Yeah. So give me a second while you guys go. I'm going to go add that into the poll. But go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Peter Parker. I like Miles, but Peter Parker.
That ain't no background, to that.
Well, he's the one that I grew up with. Miles is much more. He's a much newer character, and they're doing a really good job with him. And what I've learned about him is that I forget the guy who did it, but the guy that played the younger Lando was saying that he wore a shirt on his show. Sorry, I'm not saying the names of the shows, but he said that he liked Spider-Man, and that influenced the comic book writer to make Spider-Man make a black Spider-Man, especially after a lot of people are going no, Spider-Man can't be black, he has to be white. And he wanted to prove him wrong. And I like Miles, but I grew up with Peter. And especially with shows although it only got two seasons, Spectacular Spider-Man, I really like that version. And then the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, another cartoon that I really liked. And then Tom Holland with the MCU movies, Peter Parker. But I am really excited to see Miles Morales. So far in the cartoon movies, very good, very, very good. So I'm really excited to see how they bring them into live action, and I'm hoping that Kevin Feige and not.
Oh, Luigi, we got to speed this up. You're taking too long.
Peter Parker.
All right, so we got one for Peter Parker. All right, what about you, Primax? Why don't you go next? Which one are you?
Well, I love Miles. I love the Spider-Verse, but before the Spider-Verse, to be honest, I really didn't care about Miles because I wasn't really more on the comic books, the modern comic books of Marvel. I grew up with mostly in the movies, the Raimi movies. So yeah, I grew up with, and of course, the OG. I had like a compilation of the old Spider-Man comics, and yeah, the controversial opinion, but I prefer Romita over Ditko. Also, rest in peace, John Romita. But yeah,
Oh,
but
senior,
is
not junior.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's not a
okay.
senior.
yeah,
He passed away
yeah,
what, other month?
yeah.
He passed away
Oh
this
no,
week.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
was it
Yeah,
this
he
week?
just passed away.
yeah. This
I thought
week,
it was,
yeah.
I thought it was last month.
So yeah,
All right,
that's
well, so
pretty much it. Yeah.
we got two for Peter Parker, the OG. All right, who wants to go? Well, I want to save Anthony for last because I feel like he'll have a really good opinion, being a super hardcore comics person. So I feel like he's gonna have the toughest decision. So let's go to TM first.
Yeah. So Luciano, is that how you say it? He told the story already, but that's why I picked Miles, because the fact that what's his name?
Ryan Bendis, I think it was.
Michael
Uh,
Bendis. Like,
what's the actor?
Tom Holland,
no, he's talking about what's his
Toby
name?
Maguire.
No,
Demi
no,
No,
Moore.
Lando. What's his
yeah. What is
Oh,
his
Donald
name?
Glover.
Donald Glover.
Donald Glover. Thank you. Yeah. The fact that Donald Glover took a picture and then they really wanted to make a black Spider-Man, and then they did, and it wasn't him, but as a character, I think it was like kind of land a landmark thing for Spider-Man. Also, I like the game better. To be honest, I do prefer Miles Morales. It's shorter, so I don't like. I know you like to play long games and complete it 100% it. I just want to play and have fun and be done. And Miles Morales was short enough for me to actually enjoy and finish the game. Like, I finished that game. I'll never finish Spider-Man because it's just too long for me.
All right, valid. All right, so we got our first Miles Morales vote here. Probably not going to mute you for a bit. All right, so I'll go before Anthony. This is always a tough one too. I definitely, obviously, grew up. I'm old. I'm older, so I definitely grew up um, with Peter Parker. But I will say, a lot of people have been like, across Into the Spider-Verse was the best Spider-Man movie. I don't know if I agree with them there, but as we get into Across the Spider-Verse, after seeing that, I think that movie might be my number one Spider-Man movie. So it's a super hard call, but just with everyone else's, I think it's just the history. I still I found the comics that I had last time I was here at my parents' place doing Chatterday last month. I found a whole bunch of comics I took into my house. I bought a whole box of boards and bags, and I'm bagging them up now. So unfortunately, I got to go with Peter Parker, but it's a tough call because I feel like Miles is the future, and I think he probably will be like he could easily become the most iconic Spider-Man. But right now, it's still Peter Parker's day, I would say. All right, Anthony, I want to hear from you because obviously, again, the history, but also, I mean, just look at your skin, man. I feel like you got to. So, where are you at? I feel that you have the toughest decision.
No, this actually wasn't very hard for me. And actually, both of my sons helped me make this decision. When the first Spider Verse came out, my son was really excited to see it because he said there's a Spider Man that looks like him. And he didn't know Miles's name. He didn't know, I mean, I guess in the new cartoon for kids, they call him Spin. But it made me very emotional that my son was like, he looks like me. And at the time, my son had a box haircut like him, and he had some black and red Pumas, even though they weren't Jordans. So for me, it's easily Miles. I guess if I'm going to stay on my gimmick, always bet on black, right? And go with Miles. But Miles has a great power set. Peter Parker is the OG. He's always going to be around. I don't know that he is ever going to be replaced because he's too iconic. In terms of the Mount Rushmore of comic book characters, it's Superman, it's Batman, it's Spider-Man, and then the fourth one's probably Wolverine, but that's another conversation for another time. As far as just the most iconic comic book characters. So I don't know that Peter will ever be replaced, but at least for me and in my household, it's Miles, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. Both of them are amazing movies. The representation, even though it's not on the big screen, with African-American people, although, I mean, not to spoil the movie, to see Donald Glover show up in the latest movie was really cool. I got a big laugh out of me, got a clap out of me when he showed up on the screen. So I do think it's awesome. I also think that it shows the strength of what Marvel can do if they're not afraid to just create new characters, as opposed to replacing existing characters with someone else of a different ethnic group. Just to say, hey, this person died or they are retiring and we're replacing them with the new, biracial or LBGTQ plus person. So I think that this shows the strength of, and Marvel should do more of that.
All right, so pretty split. I mean, it seems like the dark-skinned folks just went with the dark-skinned. I'm just playing. But the poll also agreed. I think, again, based on the viewership here, it just makes sense. A lot of older, crotchety white folk, probably, even though I'm not white. But we did have a couple of...
I'm not white.
We're all the same. We're all around the same age.
Yeah. Well, we got some folks shouting out Ben Reilly here, and then I still functionally said neither, black suit all day. But the suit is not one of the name of a character. But
fun fact,
if we're
actually a rapper, his name is Childish Gambino.
Oh yeah, come on, we know Donald Glover.
Yeah, most people don't know that.
Yeah.
If we're asking who my favorite Spider-Man is, Ben Reilly is my favorite Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah, I went as him for Halloween this past Halloween, so I have a full bodysuit. He's right here. I've got a statue of him over there. So Into the Spider-Verse literally made my day because I didn't know Ben Reilly was going to get so much representation, and they did him better in this movie than they've done him the last 25 years in comics.
Well, I mean, that's why. Like, I also have a soft spot for the Scarlet Spider, but
I haven't seen it yet. Just FYI.
What's that?
I haven't seen the latest Spider-Verse movie yet.
Oh man, so we're mixed. All right, so we'll figure out how we're gonna do this. We'll do Spider-Verse first, and then we'll come back to Transformers. So we might let you dip out real quick, TM, and then I can ping you on the phone to jump back in. All right, but let's go ahead and get to the next segment here. Obviously, this is going to be a spoiler-filled show. I mean, we're discussing the movie, so should have put that up front. But that now you're warned. There's going to be spoilers. All right, so we have a new segment. I haven't done a new segment in so long, and this is supposed to be a GIF, and it's not playing. But if you guys know the scene from Godzilla versus King Kong, it's where the Japanese scientist says, "Let them bite." So we're gonna do a new segment, and this one is kind of interesting. I think hopefully you guys will like it. So let me remove this real quick, and then I gotta add a new. I
noticed you're in a new spot too. You're in a different place.
Oh yeah, I'm at my parents' place. So let's see, entire window. I think it's this one. All right, so let me get over there. All right, so this one is kind of like March Madness. So we're taking a look primarily at the Spider-Man movies and the Transformers movies. And I did this randomly. I just made a list of all the movies, and then I did a randomizer to get these brackets made. But we're going to go through, instead of doing power rankings, because that takes so long, we're going to do a bracket. And we're going to vote on which ones we think should move on in the bracket to see what the ultimate Spider-Man and ultimate Transformer movie is. So we're going to go through both series. So I'll once again put that in the chat so folks can participate at home. But you guys only have kind of a call-in vote. You guys aren't actually going to make any decisions here. So obviously we have, for the Spider-Man universe, we got the 3 original Tobey Maguire. We're talking about the live-action movies first. So we got Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. Then we got the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man series 1 and 2. Then we got the Tom Holland. So we're talking the main Spider-Man movies, none of the crossovers or anything like that. So we got Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. And then the 2 newest entries, which are the Spider-Verse movies. So Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. So this is how the brackets are looking. First, we'll go through, since we had an odd number of folks, movies. We're going to go with round one on both sides, and then we're going to go into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then we'll go to the finals. All right, so let me first. We'll again kind of debate it, but we're going to try to really quickly come to a decision on who wins this bracket. So the first one we'll go through is Into the Spider-Verse versus Amazing Spider-Man 2. Feel like this is the easy one. I don't know that we're going to need to debate it a whole lot, but if anyone has any particular specific comments on that, why don't you go while I put it in the chat?
Amazing Spider-Man 2 was widely panned. So, I mean, Into the Spider-Verse should win in a landslide. Even if you haven't seen the TM reviews, the Jamie Foxx, Electro, all that stuff, like it was just, nah, bro, I believe is what the kids say.
It was bad.
So, yeah, I had to look it up because I had to remember who it was. But Andrew Garfield, yeah, that wasn't the one for me. So I agree.
Yeah, good.
Obviously,
actors.
you know, I'll choose, you know, Into the Spider-Verse because, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Gwen died, so yeah, I'll choose, I know, Into the Spider-Verse, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of went off hard. Like Luigiano, so we were joking ahead of time that he seems to be the king of hot takes. So heads up, we were talking about this before. Luigiano is the only person I know that thinks Beast Machines is better than Beast Wars. Like,
No, I didn't say
What? What?
I said that I like it. I said that I like it, whereas most people do not like it. I like these machines. I like the design better. It's a good continuation of the story.
so again, clearly king of bad takes. So are you actually going to vote? Be the only one to actually try to vote for Amazing Spider-Man 2 over Into the
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no.
I will say,
Amazing Spider-Man 2 was so bad. They have awesome actors, but such bad writing.
yeah, I was gonna say,
They wasted I'm forgetting his name, but like he played Electro. They wasted him.
Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, they wasted
Jamie Foxx, yeah.
And then, well, I mean, I was excited about the universe building that they were doing with the villains, the Sinister Six. That went to nothing, obviously, because that didn't continue.
But it was like rushed. It was like rushed and like forced in. Into the
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Spider-Verse.
The Sinister Six was really forced by Sony. Same with Spider-Man 3, right? With I think Venom, right? Like he was forced in the movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
Sony's was
I liked Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy, but it just
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
work out.
All right, so
Yeah.
clearly Into the Spider-Verse. We'll just give it that one. Now we got to go to the other side of the bracket for the other round one. So we got Spider-Man 2. So this is the one with Doc Ock, and then versus No Way Home. I feel like this might be one of the matchups of the night here because I feel like this.
Oh yeah.
I think either of these could be in anybody's number one slot, but the fact that they're going head to head in a random bracket in round one and getting one of them is getting sent home. I think this is a heartbreaker going to be a heartbreaker for a lot of folks here. So give me 1 second. I want to see where everybody thought on. Yeah, everyone 100% said Into the Spider-Verse. So no surprises there. All right, so go ahead, discuss the Spider-Man 2 versus No Way Home while I put that in the poll.
No Way Home.
I'm pulling out my flamethrower because I've got a hot take.
Oh, okay.
Same.
All right.
Go ahead, Primax. I'll let you go first.
Oh my god. To be honest, I prefer Spider-Man 2. Like I like seeing my Toby, Andrew, Holland. I like them, but I like Spider-Man 2. Like, you know, the message of being a hero, you know, he lost his powers, and then I like the fights. They're more creative from the first one, and you know, I like the story. Yeah. No Way Home. To be honest, it's a bit of a nostalgia bit for me. Yeah. So,
More like fan service, right? Like a fan service.
yeah. I mean, like, you know, I like seeing who's the actor of Doc Ock, Anthony Molina. Oh no, Alfred Molina. Yeah. Yeah, I like seeing him. You know, William Dafoe. Yeah, I don't know. I like seeing them, all of them. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 all day. So, yeah.
All right, we got Primax went first with Spider-Man 2 out the gate. Anyone want to agree or disagree?
No
I'm
Way
a No Way Home person. Because it brought all the Spider-Men together. I think Andrew Garfield is the best of all the Spider-Man actors. He, to me, can pull off Peter Parker better than anyone else. Spider-Man 2 soured me on the franchise in general because of how easily he took off his mask and just kind of gave up his secret identity. Um, and so I wasn't a fan of that movie because he just kind of gave up the ghost to me for no reason. Like Spider-Man always kind of protected his secret identity, but in this movie he didn't. And I guess if we're talking about it in real life, maybe it would have been a lot easier for people to figure it out that he was Spider-Man. But No Way Home, to me, it just had more things in it. It brought the nostalgia back. It brought all of them together. Everyone had their favorite one, and everyone got to see them all kind of play those roles again. So on a nostalgia basis, more than a story type basis, I chose No Way Home because again, Andrew Garfield to me was the better Spider-Man, and I wish he would have got to stay, and the other ones just kind of disappeared in the end, and that would have been a great plot twist.
Interesting. All right, so we got 1-1. I thought it was going to be the other way. All right. So Luigiana, where do you sit?
No Way Home.
Ooh.
Yeah, No Way Home. Spider-Man 2, I agree with Primax, is a very good movie. And at its time, it was considered one of the best comic book movies. But No Way Home, one of the things that I really liked about it was the big twist. We haven't really found out what happened to Tom Holland's Uncle Ben, but they turned Aunt May into his Uncle Ben because I was not expecting that. I was not expecting for. They kept on saying someone was going to get killed, but like I was not expecting for her to be the Uncle Ben for him. And then like with all this, the two other Spider-Men there, and Andrew Garfield's finally getting to have something to work with and like be a good, because I didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man movies, to be a good Spider-Man, and he got to when he saved Mary Jane, and to see his reaction and stuff to that, it was so good.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Can I call a quick timeout?
What's that?
I can understand why people may dismiss No Way Home because they killed Marissa Tomei. She's too fine to die in any movie.
All right. Well, you calm down there. This is not hot take, right? So, all right, Sony, where are you at?
Definitely No Way Home. I loved that they had 5 bad guys, from the different universes, all really cool. It was just cool to see them fighting. The fight scene was really cool. I think that was probably like the pinnacle of the movie. But, just to see them all together. And I kind of like each of them for different reasons. I like Tobey Maguire because he's like that vulnerable Spider-Man, but he cries a little too much. I like Andrew Garfield, but he didn't quite get it for me. I like the new guy too. So it was just good to see all of them and then have them battle all the bad guys together. There was a part that, Doctor Strange didn't make sense in the movie for me, but it was just enjoyable enough that I didn't care about the nonsensical, time travel, whatever, getting him trapped in the universe. So the bad guys really made it for me.
All right. Well, it looks like my vote doesn't matter, but I'm voting anyways. I gotta go with Spider-Man 2. I know some people don't like it, but I thought it was overall it was my favorite movie up until maybe Across the Spider-Verse. So to see it go down in round 1 is a dagger to my heart. But for me, I don't think Tobey was the best Spider-Man, but I thought that the way that they handled that entire movie and how they changed up how things worked, and it was a take on Spider-Man No More. But I loved Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and I thought he made that role really meaty and like the redemption and stuff like that. Definitely not a perfect movie, but that was the one I would have. So sad for me to see it go down, but that's the way it goes. So let's see what everyone else voted. The votes are very close, but they went the same way as the group here. They went to No Way Home. So No Way Home takes it, much to my dismay. Let's go ahead and make that No Way Home. All right. Now we're on to the quarterfinals. We're going to the top left of the bracket. It's Amazing Spider-Man versus Into the Spider-Verse. I think this is probably another easy one, but let's go ahead and ask the folks on the call and at home while I prep this, which one is for you?
You're putting it in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
putting it in that now.
TM, kick us off.
So I need to look them up because I don't remember them.
Amazing is the Andrew Garfield one based around the lizard.
So,
Yeah.
Somebody go first.
Okay. So,
ahead,
sorry.
Brian.
The Amazing Spider-Man, it has some promises. No, sorry. They were trying to like the feel of the movie, like they were trying to do like a Dark Knight, like that edgy, like like they wanted like an edgy Spider-Man. I like the concept. And I love the suit. The lizard, the is fine, but me personally, Into the Spider-Verse. I think Into the Spider-Verse really captures the mood of Spider-Man. I love the fights. Excuse me. I love the fights, especially the Prowler, the story. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse all day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go next. So now I had to look back and see. It's definitely Into the Spider-Verse. It's groundbreaking animation and a really good storyline, brand new storyline. It's got to be Into the Spider-Verse for me.
All right, Luigiana, where you at?
Easy pick. Into the Spider-Verse. Amazing Spider-Man? No. Awesome actors, bad writing. Into the Spider-Verse.
All right,
Good
I'll go
actors,
before
good-
Anthony. I do think Amazing Spider-Man. I really liked it. I have a strong disagree with Anthony saying that Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man / Peter Parker. Well, I think he was very good, but I thought they wrote him too cool for Peter Parker. For me personally, I can get it. They made him, a little bit edgier, like I think Luigiana was saying, or maybe Primax was saying that this the new Batman Begins, I guess, kind of style. But I just thought he was too cool for Spider-Man. He was like a skateboarder and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, but I did actually like the Amazing Spider-Man. I think they did him wrong in the sequel. And then it's too bad he never got his trilogy, but he did really shine, I think, also in No Way Home. Luigi touched on that, but Into the Spider-Verse, I mean, it's just clearly superior. I don't know that there's any arguing that, so I'll end it there.
Let's I guess make it 5 for 5. Into the Spider-Verse to me walks. Amazing Spider-Man, like I said, it's a good movie. I'm with you, Peg. I enjoyed it. I had high hopes for the second one because to me, looking back on it, it's easy to pan it, but coming out of Spider-Man 3, it was easy to like what they were doing with Andrew Garfield. So I think if it would have been matched up against the original Spider-Man, maybe that would have been a more even fight. But when you compare it against Into the Spider-Verse, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight.
That's a good way to put it. And the audience pretty much agrees. We got we got one crazy person who thinks Amazing Spider-Man is better than Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know who they are, but you're welcome to your bad opinion. That's cool.
Bees and Steams.
All right, Into the Spider-Verse. First into the quarterfinals. All right, next one up. The Battle of Firsts. So we got the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the first Tom Holland Spider-Man. So Homecoming. That's the next one up. Let me put that in the live poll while you guys debate.
Spider-Man, the first one. You got to
All
see.
right, Luigi on short and sweet. I like it.
Yeah, I'll choose the first one. Yeah, first one for me.
You got this. It's our first time to see Spider-Man live action, and they did him right. He got to go against his, I think, his main nemesis, the Green Goblin. Although the costume wasn't all that great, Willem Dafoe was still an awesome actor to play him and did him very well. good story, good writing, good action. Homecoming, it was good, but like the Vulture, I understand why they did it.
No, I think we might have lost you, Luigiana. All right. Well, we'll move on because he looks like he's frozen.
Okay.
I'll go next for the first. Go earlier for once. I'm gonna. This is. I feel like this one is one of the harder ones. I'm probably gonna lean to Spider-Man, Toby. Again, a little bit of nostalgia. There are things about it I don't like. Like I don't like the Green Goblin costume. I think everybody thinks that's terrible. But I really like the Vulture. I really like the pick of Michael Keaton as Vulture, and I think they made Vulture cool, which I'm not cool, but I mean like menacing in a way that you never really considered Vulture to be. So I feel like that also had it going for it. But I mean, the first time seeing Tobey Maguire live action Spider Man, even though I didn't think he was the best actor for it, it just is again was just a landmark milestone for my life. So definitely Spider Man, but I think that was a hard call for me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean. I loved the Green Goblin, the look of him, and just how Willem Dafoe was the perfect pick for.
I didn't say anything about Willem Dafoe. I thought he was awesome, but the
You didn't
Power
like the
Ranger
mask.
mask
You
and
didn't
suit
like the
that
mask. I get
didn't.
it. I just it kind of didn't matter for me, the mask, because of the character. Like he played it so perfectly. I'm gonna also pick Spider-Man and not Homecoming. The thing I didn't like about Homecoming is he was too much of a kid. And although I don't have anything against Zendaya, I didn't think she added to the story. I thought she actually was a distraction. It didn't really like the love or whatever was going on between them. It just didn't make sense. It didn't add anything for me. So I would have preferred had she not been in it at all. Like I kind of get what they were doing, but I'd definitely go with Spider-Man.
All right, Primax, you're up last.
He already
Yes.
went.
Oh, you already
Easy.
went.
Oh yeah, Anthony. But yeah, same. Spider-Man. I grew up with Spider-Man. I love Willem Dafoe. Same with TM. Uh, I like the Goblin suit, but I agree. It looks like a Power Rangers costume. Like it doesn't feel like the typical Green Goblin where his face actually looks like green. So yeah, I like the story, the fights, especially the fights. Their last battle, it was really brutal compared to now. Yeah,
Yeah,
when uh, when Green Goblin punched Spider-Man to the wall, like that was really brutal. And the ending, I like the ending. The ending, he finally realized his responsibility, and then he finally became Spider-Man. So yeah,
right.
Homecoming. I like the Vulture is my favorite villain in Spider-Man, but
What?
it's a bit of a meh for me, to be honest. Yeah,
The Vulture is your favorite bad guy in Spider-Man?
yeah. I grew up with the comics. Yeah,
Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever heard that,
I've
but
never heard anyone say that, but that's cool.
all right. I just realized we're going pretty slowly, so I'm going to ask us to pick it up a little bit. But one thing I will say is the one scene that in Homecoming that I thought was terrifying was the prom drop off where Tom Holland's in the car and Vulture figures it out and he like tells him, "I know what's going on there." I thought that was terrifying. Like
yeah,
if you were in that situation as like a 16-year-old, ooh,
yeah.
yeah. All right. So it looks like we have another landslide victory with Tobey Maguire. Let's see what the poll says. Poll says a lot closer. 62% said that they went with Spider-Man 1, but we still had 37% going with Homecoming. So that might be our closest one so far. All right. So let me go ahead and change that while I tee up the next one. So I'm going to ask that we speed it up just a little bit because we do have to go through the Transformers bracket and
Sure.
then I can get through the discussion. So. All right, so next up is going to be Far From Home and Across the Spider-Verse. So that's the second, so for Sony, that's the second Tom Holland movie where they go to
Well,
Europe with Mysterio, just so you don't have to Google that, all
yeah,
right?
I have to abstain because I have not seen Across the Spider-Verse. Or
Oh, that's right. All right.
so,
Well,
but
you'll abstain.
I do like um, the Tom Holland movie. I can't speak to it because I haven't seen the other one yet.
Okay, all right then. All right, well then, I'll go first because I don't think I've gone first yet. Across the Spider-Verse, very easily. I think Far From Home, while not a terrible movie, and I actually liked how they handled Mysterio. It's a very future tech, very modern take on him, and I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was actually very good. But Across the Spider-Verse, like I said early on, it might be my favorite Spider-Man movie ever, and the breadth of it, and all the things that they included, the continuation from Into the Spider-Verse and what it's leading up to. Looks like it would very easily be the best Marvel trilogy that we've had, bar none. So I'm going with Across the Spider-Verse.
I follow you. Across the Spider-Verse. I think that it picked up the baton and took off like Jackie Joyner Kersey from Into the Spider-Verse. It's that strong of a movie. The fact that it's centered around both characters, Gwen and Miles, and that they did so much character development with Gwen. Also, this may be a hot take, but to me, out of all the Spider people, Nick Miller SpiderMan is far and away the best Spider-Man character that's in these movies. So if
you're talking about Spider-Dad.
Yeah, if you're familiar with New Girl, I call him Nick Miller Spider-Man. He is far and away the best character in all of these Spider movies.
Whoa! All right, that's a good one.
We need a movie based around him.
All right. So we got 2 for Across the Spider-Verse. Primax, where are you at on this?
Oh yeah, definitely. Across the Spider-Verse. Far From Home, very interesting, movie. I like the movie. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I I like seeing Mysterio in live action. I think Jake Gyllenhaal did it better. Yeah, but yeah, I'll choose Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah. I agree with yeah. I mean, I agree with Anthony. Like, the Across the Spider Verse was a 2-for-1 movie. We see Gwen, and then we see Miles, and we see them grow together. And Miles, he was struggling about his
Don't
life as
spoil it.
Spider-Man.
I'm trying not to spoil it for TM. That's why I said.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
No. Don't worry about that.
Sorry. So yeah,
No,
yeah.
it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah. I like the movie's perfect, but since it's Across the Spider Verse is part 2, it felt short, but it's pretty understandable since it's part 2. But yeah, Across the Spider Verse all day.
All right. Wow, the opposite in the chat. We got 80% saying they prefer Far From Home. Shocking. I mean, we're not getting a ton of votes, but still, I'm surprised that we got. Oh, now it changed to 2/3 saying Far From Home, but still surprising on that. So I think this is the only one that we've gone against the live chat there. Wow, surprising. But again, your votes don't matter. You're just
That's
there.
Luigiano. He's juicing the vote.
It could be Mr. Hot Takes there. All right. Bad takes.
Every single person I've talked to has said the Across the Spider-Verse is an amazing movie. So I got to go see it.
All right. This last one, I feel like we should be able to go very quick. It's the Battle of the Third. So we had the Battle of the First with Spider-Man versus Homecoming. Now it's Spider-Man 3 versus No Way Home. So looks like we can go with that. So while I put that in chat, let us know where your votes are. No Way Home or Spider-Man 3?
No Way Home.
Spider-Man 3 just for the dance scene. I'm kidding. No Way Home. It's easy. No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home. No discussion. Just No Way Home. Spider-Man 3 is just really forced decisions by Sony. So No Way Home.
Function, yeah. I feel you. I still function. I feel you.
Well, what was they?
I was not feeling Topher Grace or whatever the other guy's name is, Sandman.
Yeah.
I did not like them. They were okay, but kind of not the best storyline. So yeah,
I think that's putting it mildly.
They were just
not the best storyline. It was awful.
And then Franco, he was in there too. And just
They did way too much.
yeah, that's what
Well,
it
yeah, I
was.
mean, and what's his name? The director, Sam Raimi, said that he was forced by the studios to throw in Venom, and he didn't want to do that, but got pressured, and
Forced to
then
do what?
forced to add in Venom into Spider-Man
Oh,
3
I
by
see.
the studio. And then that's why their relationship kind of broke down there. But I will say that what's it called? Um, I did think the saving grace of that movie, or if you could pick one, the shining light, the diamond in the rough, was Sandman. I thought I forget his name, the actor's name, but I thought he was a really perfect casting, and I thought he really sold Sandman's kind of heartbreak backstory the way that it should have been, and if they had left it as his story instead of cramming in Green Goblin and cramming in Venom, I think it definitely could have been a much stronger movie.
He looked like the character from the comic books. Like I feel like that was almost 1-to-1 casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now we're getting to the hard ones. All right, we're not getting into the semifinals. Into the Spider-Verse is Spider-Man 1. All right, let me go ahead and close. Oh, let me close the chat real quick. No Way Home won 75%. Kind of surprising. I thought it would be a little bit more one-sided there, but still we got. I don't know who's voting again for Spider-Man 3. I feel like that's got to be a meme, a meme vote there. So let's go to the next one. No one?
Oh, I don't know what Into or versus Spider-Man or
Yeah,
across.
Man
yeah.
or
Into the Spider-Verse versus Spider-Man 1.
I love the Macho Man scene, but it's Into the Spider-Verse. Again, that the two animated features are two of the best, I mean, Marvel productions, period, in the story, in my opinion. Um, the fact that they incorporated so many different people, but also I mean, when's the last time that Nicolas Cage made a good movie? It was Into the Spider-Verse, right? So they put him in a movie and he made a good movie. So I mean, they even threw him a bone. So um, Into the Spider-Verse by far.
All right, Into the Spider-Verse by far. All right. I'm going to go in agreement with that as well. Again, even with the nostalgia factor, Into the Spider-Verse, I thought was one of the best, definitely on the podium for my top three. And that was when people were coming out saying, when that movie came out, best Spider-Man movie ever, I was like, oh, that and Spider-Man 2, which fell in round one, tragically, of this March Madness bracket. But definitely a superior movie than Spider-Man 1. So I'll end it there.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of ties us back to that first question you asked, right? Classic Spider-Man or Miles Morales, and how you answered that is going to influence how you answer this. But for me, it's Into the Spider-Verse. I will still like Willem Dafoe and Tobey Maguire in that movie, and even James Franco, who's kind of a goofball, but it's got to be Into the Spider-Verse. That was more groundbreaking for me.
yeah, same. Into the Spider-Verse all day. I love Spider-Man. First movie I watched as a kid, but in terms of story, the characters, yeah, Into the Spider-Verse all day.
Did we lose a cast member?
Yeah, we lost Luciano. He said he was having connection issues early when he dropped off. So we're moving on. All right, we're gonna end the poll. This is actually the closest one we had so far. It looks like. Oh no, never mind. We had another vote. So no Way Home. Oh, sorry. No, Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, it was a close one, 57-42. That's surprising to me personally. But Into the Spider-Verse, our first finalist. So we're going to the other side of the bracket. The other Miles Morales animated movie across the Spider-Verse, the newest one, versus the newest live-action Spider-Man movie, No Way Home. This might be tough, or it might just be a landslide. So let's go ahead and start. Anthony, I'm going to start with you this time while I put the poll up.
Always bet on black across the Spider-Verse. Again, it's a great movie. The soundtrack is awesome. The animation is awesome. The fact that each Spider-Man that appears from a different universe, all of them, or some of them even have different animations. They even worked in live action people into the movie. Tells you just kind of the breadth of what they're trying to accomplish. And at no point did it ever feel out of place or awkward or it didn't fit. So everything that they did also paid homage to all the stuff that came before it. So when you see the character from the 90s Spider-Man show up, when you see the spectacular Spider-Man, the guy who voiced him show up, and all the other ones, even the toys. My kids have a Spider-Man T-Rex, and when the Spider-Man T-Rex shows up on screen, my 4-year-old son was losing his mind because he's like, oh my gosh, Spidey T-Rex is here too. He thought it was just a toy. I was like, no, there's an actual story that goes with it. So, I mean, basically, if they made something for Spider-Man, it showed up in this movie and it paid respect to all that. So you got to you got to tip your hat there.
All right. So we got one for into Across the Spider-Verse. Primax, looks like you wanted to go next.
Oh yeah, Across the Spider-Verse all day. I agree everything what Anthony said. Those the characters instead of like forced references, like they pay homage, like the T-Rex Spider-Man, like that. And then the story, it's awesome. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a movie like there are some few flaws, but yeah, it's a perfect movie. No Way Home still good, but objectively, yeah, across the Spider-Verse all day. That's pretty much it.
I think one of the things that I'll say is that it shows kind of the limitations of the live action movies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You only being able to do so much. Like when we saw that, we are like, oh my gosh, all three of our Spider-Man coming out at once, like all these generational Spider-Man, and we thought that was groundbreaking. And then you see Across the Spider-Verse, and you see thousands of different iterations, like Cyborg Spider-Man. You got like Mary Jane Spider-Man. You got Mayday Parker. All these obscure ones, like literally everyone who has even the most obscure love for one version of Spider-Man would have been able to point out a scene where their Spider-Man gets represented. And I think again, overall the story was, I feel like, a little bit more cohesive, and maybe it's also just because it had a little bit more to build off of in the previous one, which was already expansive. And I think they did a much better job tying in, as Primax alluded to earlier, the multiple stories. It wasn't just Miles' story. They did even more than they did in Into the Spider-Verse, and sharing a bunch of different characters that were almost like an ensemble cast as opposed to a Miles Morales story, right? All right, so let me go ahead and close the poll here. Wow, another disagreement between the folks in the chat and the folks on live, and I wonder if that's also because maybe some people have not seen Across the Spider-Verse yet. But it was 66% of the vote went for No Way Home.
Yeah, just to play devil's advocate, even though I haven't seen it yet, it is a special moment to see all the Spider-Mans and all the bad guys on screen, live action. Like that has never happened before and probably won't happen again, right? Those same actors are probably not going to be on the screen again. So I thought that's cool. But like I said, I can't speak to Across the Spider-Verse. So.
All right, now we're at the finals. We finally made it here. This is probably where I thought it was going to go, just from looking. Well, not exactly how I thought it was going to go going to the bracket because of my first round pick, first round favorite that got knocked out early. But comes down Miles Morales movies, the two Spider-Verse movies. Which one will reign supreme? I'll go maybe third because I have to put this into the poll. But who wants to go first?
No. Okay. Uh, the- it's hard, man. Both movies are awesome. Into the Spider-Verse was more of a beginning, and then Across the Spider-Verse they improved it a lot more. So, uh, across the Spider-Verse, yeah. Into the Spider-Verse, yeah, it's more of a beginning. They were starting something new, so yeah, Across the Spider-Verse all day.
All right, we got one for Across the Spider-Verse. TM, you got to abstain since you're not in there. So I'm going to let Anthony go last again. I'm with Primax 2. Across the Spider-Verse for me really elevated what they experimented with Into the Spider-Verse. It was very a unique take just animation wise, things that they were experimenting with, and it was already kind of extreme, and they turned it up even more in Across the Spider-Verse. So if everything in Into the Spider-Verse was like dialed to 10, like Across the Spider-Verse was like dialed to 28. Like it just took everything to extreme, and you usually have a lot of problems with that being too much, but it wasn't with Across the Spider-Verse, and I thought they nailed everything. Um, Already following a strong showing. I feel like the second movie in trilogies, even though we didn't, at least I didn't personally know it was going to be a trilogy for sure. Um, when I they usually fall as being the weakest. Like if you look at a bunch of the trilogies we have in Marvel, Iron Man, Thor, Spider-Man, like most of the Spider-Man movies, not for me the first trilogy, but most of the trilogies, the second one tends to be the weakest, and this one did not follow that trope at all. So Across the Spider-Verse, 1000% for me.
I wanted to go into the Spider-Verse, but I just couldn't. Even the villain of Across the Spider-Verse, the Spot, a lot of people didn't know he was a real villain or that he existed. But he was awesome. I mean, even their interplay between him and Miles, I mean, it made you like the villain, and it was just like, man, he really is kind of funny and awesome. He's not just a villain of the week and everything else. Also with Across the Spider-Verse, the fact that they kept it was going to be a 2-part movie, a wrap, a secret. And when it ended, you were just like, wow. I mean, I had no idea. I stay away from all the online trailers and spoilers, and all that other stuff. But so when the movie ended, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. Across the Spider-Verse it's just a fantastic movie. And again, my favorite Spider-Man, at least comic book Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, was in the movie and he got some major play. And so, yeah, he was more of the Nicolas Cage Spider Noir in this movie, but the fact that he got any play whatsoever, because Marvel has been dogging him out since, for 25 years. I've got to go home happy with Ben Reilly.
Nice. All right. So clear winner here, even and across, two super strong movies. It wasn't like it was this Across the Spider-Verse versus Amazing Spider-Man 2. They made it all the way to the finals, and they both did so pretty handily for Across the Spider-Verse to outdo Into the Spider-Verse in a landslide vote for us. That just speaks to, if you haven't seen the movie, you got to go see it. Like, you got to. And again, surprisingly, Into the Spider-Verse got more votes, although we only had 4 votes this time. But still, if you've seen it, I can't imagine why you would think Into is better. Like, in any case, all right. So that's it for this one. We got to go more quickly through the movie madness one with the Transformers movies. There are less movies, so we should be able to get through it very quickly. And just a disclaimer: the Transformers 1986 movie is not going to be part of this because we're keeping to live action. Because otherwise, I feel like it would just be kind of probably a landslide here. So
it would.
All right, so let's go into these brackets. So we got first in the quarterfinals, we got Age of Extinction versus Revenge of the Fallen. So where are we in that? Let me put that in the poll. Someone's got to start.
This is a hard one.
I'm gonna go Revenge of the Fallen.
Okay.
I'm just not into the whole like medieval theme and all that crap. It's weird. It's weird to me. I mean, it's fine, but I mean they're both bad movies. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna go Revenge of the Fallen. There's some pretty cool destruction scenes or blow up scenes in that movie.
All right.
It was still Shia LaBeouf, and I know people kind of hate him, but I don't like changing the storyline and having a new character for every freaking Transformers movie. Like, make it Spike Wiki and then just stick with it, But they keep changing it. So even though he's not a great actor, and even though Megan Fox is just eye candy and totally, there's not a lot of depth there. I like that it was the same character. So,
Craig Campbell says, "Just do it. Just come on."
I've got to go Revenge of the Fallen too. Optimus Prime riding Grimlocks and stuff like that. I know that happened last night and everything else, but I think what Revenge of the Fallen suffered from is that they tried to cram too much into it because they didn't know if they were going to get a third movie, and so you get the Devastator stuff, but then you get the stuff from Armada where Prime is combining with Jetfire and all that other stuff, and it just tried to do too much. But I feel like Revenge of the Fallen is somewhat rewatchable. I don't know that Age of Extinction is.
Yeah, I agree there. I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. I feel like the first two movies in the original trilogy, first two of the Bayverse movies, were were the best ones, and then the last two were just I continually mix up the last two all the time. So looks like we're all Revenge of the Fallen. Let's see what the live chat said. Again, we do have a live poll going on, and right now we don't have a ton of people watching, but the vote is very clear: 5-0 Revenge of the Fallen. So that moves on. And also just to let people know, you can see that Dark of the Moon amazingly got a bye. So we'll just leave it at that. So Revenge of the Fallen makes it to face off against Dark of the Moon. On the other side of the bracket, we're gonna go with. I feel like this is a bad random bracket, but we got to go with the two latest movies, and what people I think widely will say are the two best movies going at it in the first round: Bumblebee versus Rise of the Beasts. So where are you guys at on that?
damn.
Oh,
I
this
wish
is
you
hard.
didn't have to put these two together.
It was a random bracket.
Well, okay. So I liked Bumblebee. Bumblebee, this reminds me of the previous bracket because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the first introduction of that style of movie. And I thought Bumblebee was better than all of the previous movies. But then I really like Rise of the Beast because they got back to what I want in a movie, which is more about Transformers, less about the people. I don't mind the people story, but it can't be the whole story. And we're never going to see that girl again. So what was the point of Bumblebee if we're not going to continue the story of, whatever her name was? Like we don't even know her name. I forgot.
Charlie?
So
Yeah, Charlie.
So I'm gonna pick Rise of the Beast because it's the Transformers we know, right? And it had Unicron, it had all the elements. I wish it had a few more bad guys, a few more Decepticons, but I'm gonna pick Rise of the Beast.
I still function says Bumblebee because of John Cena. But too bad I couldn't see him.
All right, so yeah, I'll choose, of course, Rise of the Beast. Yeah, Rise of the Beast did everything better. Compared all to Bayverse movies. Like the Bayverse movies are all like product placements, eye candy moments, but Rise of the Beast did it better. When I watch it in cinema, like I had a really great time. Like no cringing moments. Like I really had a great time, and I cried when that scene where
Oh wait, no
when
spoilers, no spoilers for Anthony because
oh
he hasn't watched it. So we
oh
gotta.
oh sorry, I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, Rise of the Beast all day. So yeah.
All right, Anthony, you can't vote unfortunately, but I will vote. Actually, I liked Rise of the Beast a lot, but I actually thought overall Bumblebee was a stronger story. Um, it didn't have as much going on with like action, and I did like a lot of the new characters that they brought. Like surprisingly, like Primal, Air Raiders was pretty good as well. But if I look at it like as far as the overall story and everything, I think I prefer Bumblebee. But it was really close. I actually debated with my buddy, the Transformers crew, afterwards. We all saw it together, and I think the vast majority of us also said Bumblebee by a nose. But my single vote doesn't matter because Primax and TM both went with Rise of the Beast. So that's going to move on in the bracket. Let's see what the community said. The community agree with me. Yes. 2/3 of the votes went to Bumblebee. But again, your votes don't matter. We're moving Rise of the Beast into the semifinals. All right, this next one I feel like should be quick. We might just be able to just say why we've been having this conversation. But the original Transformers live action movie
Yeah.
versus The Last Night. Is anyone going to even argue for The Last Night at all?
No, 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 no. Last night is terrible. Really bad. OG all day. The first movie all day.
The original live action's in my top 5 favorite movies.
Wow.
Woo! Woo!
Same, same, same. All right.
I didn't think the first live action was bad at all. I mean, all things considered, we didn't know what we were going to expect. There was a rumor coming out of it that none of them were going to be able to talk. It turned out that it was only Bumblebee that couldn't talk. And the first time you hear Optimus Prime's voice, and it's the original Optimus Prime actor, and at least as far as I know, they kept that a secret from me. So when you hear Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, like it immediately hits you right in the heart.
Yeah.
And so,
I
you know,
agree.
all of it, I mean, to me, all of it works. It holds up. It's rewatchable. If they found a way to integrate that with Bumblebee and even this story, I would have been okay with that. If they said Bumblebee was a prequel to the first one, and then all the stuff that came after the first one, you know, never happened, then I could ride with that. If you said it was Bumblebee, then Transformers, then Rise of the Beast, then I could get on board with that. But all the other stuff that we're going to talk about is, you know,
Yeah, yeah. This was like probably the easiest one we've had today today for any of the ones. So we'll just move on with that one. Going back to the left side of the bracket, Dark of the Moon or Revenge of the Fallen. For me, I feel like this one is one of the somewhat harder ones. I think some people really like Dark of the Moon. Oh, actually, I got to put it in the poll. I think some people really like Dark of the Moon with Sentinel Prime and stuff like that versus Revenge of the Fallen. But I'll let everyone talk before I go ahead and while I go ahead and put this in the this or that live.
Revenge of the Fallen was the one with the cube, right?
yeah, it's the one
No,
where
no.
they fight Devastator in the pyramids.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Oh
ball.
no. Revenge of the Fallen is like the Matrix, right? I don't know.
It wasn't the
forget
Matrix,
anymore.
but whatever. The
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it also had the Fallen in. Remember the skinny, like pharaoh looking
Yeah.
thing?
Yes.
Yeah. He appeared like 2 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, and then the uh, Jetfire and Optimus combined at the end, and that was kind of cool. Dark of the Moon was with Sentinel Prime. I feel
I
like this one might be tough.
I think it's Dark of the Moon, at least for me. My only downside with Dark of the Moon, or I have a couple of downsides with Dark of the Moon. One, I felt like it was too long of a movie, and they tried to combine again too many elements of different episodes into one. So when it was like, hey, we're gonna shoot them into the moon, I was like, there's no way they're going into the moon. They're gonna do that trick from that one episode where it's like, hey, we're shooting into the moon, but they aren't really going anywhere. Um, you know, and just kind of all of that stuff. But um, I don't know. Dark of the Moon was a better movie. It introduced a lot of good characters. They had the Wreckers in there. I'm a fan of the Wreckers, so I'll go with Dark of the Moon.
Yeah. I'm also going Dark of the Moon, but for the dumbest reason. I don't like either movie. But it's because of the cars. I like the vehicles.
Right.
In Dark of the Moon, they had Ferrari and a few others that I just thought were really cool. And it's the first time they've been a Transformers, so Dark of the
Yeah, yeah.
All
Dark
right.
of the Moon all day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I mean, I think it was one of the closer ones, but I think Dark of the Moon just had a superior story overall. I hated the Fallen. I mean, I like the Fallen as a character from like the War Within like line
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
but when they did it in the live action, I thought it was terrible. The fans also said that Dark of the Moon wins with 71% of the vote. All right, coming to the right side of the bracket, we're going to be going with Rise of the Beast and Transformers, the original. I feel like this one might be a tough one as well. So, Anthony, you haven't seen Rise of the Beast, so you have to abstain from that one. So Primax or TM, do you want to go first while I throw this in the chat?
This is hard. I like both movies. Transformers, the original, I grew up with it, but Rise of the Beast did it better. Like everything, the characters, I don't want to spoil, so because Anthony hasn't watched it. So me personally, Rise, uh, Rise, Rise of the Beast, yeah. But they're so close, yeah. I'll choose Rise of the Beast all day.
Yeah, I got to go with Rise of Beast too. I think better storyline overall, better characters. They, they put a lot in that I think it's good for nostalgia, but also good for new people, like new kids who are trying to get into it, or just new fans. There's enough for both to enjoy it. Whereas Dark of the Moon, I don't know if it hit the nostalgia as much.
Hey, Robot Show Team says the '86 Transformers movie. No, the live action. We're not doing the cartoon, unfortunately. For me, I'm gonna go against the grain here. I'm actually gonna go with Transformers just because the nostalgia factor, kind of the things that Anthony already touched on. The first live action one was just so groundbreaking for us and like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a dream for us to be able to see. Um, Honestly, didn't know how it was going to be handled or if it was going to be handled in our lifetime. And I was actually really concerned when Optimus looks so different than when the way normal Optimus would transform and stuff like that. But they did a really good job with it, and I think they made a really good balance between what they needed to do to make it like more mass marketable and to make it a movie that fans would still enjoy. I really liked Rise of the Beast. Um, but I feel like there are too many like weird loose ends, and some of the characters I felt like didn't get enough screen time. I will say that I think the human aspect was better handled in Rise of the Beast, and like that shocker at the end, which we won't spoil for Anthony, like that was like, ooh, this could be a big player. But until we see that, I'm gonna go with nostalgia Transformers. So I think I got outvoted though. You guys both went Rise of the Beast, so we're gonna move that along. And let's see, the the chat is with me, 60%, very close. They went with original Transformers live action, but again, we're going with the guest here, Rise of the Beast, in the finals with Dark of the Moon. I feel like this one's gonna be really easy. I'll just
There's
go ahead
nothing
and
to
start
say.
right now. We're
There's
gonna go
nothing
with
to say.
Rise
It-
of the Beast.
yeah, we can save the discussion on this one.
You haven't even watched
Yeah, yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, Dark of the Moon is there by default because this is a random bracket.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Oof,
think.
it's a hard one.
Sorry, I think Sony might have put something in the. Said he might have to step away. Give me a second. Oh, okay. He has to go tend to some family stuff, but I think he would probably vote the same way based on what he's been voting on. So it looks like
Same, same.
Rise of the Beast is going to top our list. I'm going to put it in the live chat just for formality purposes, but we're going to go ahead and award Rise of the Beast, the latest and greatest from the Transformers live action franchise, as the winner. Oddly enough, I just noticed that both of the latest entries won this bracket for both
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man and
Yeah.
for Transformers. So maybe they're onto something here, folks. Maybe the new
Yeah.
movies are onto something. All right. So that took way longer than I expected, but we'll go ahead and we're gonna go into Spider-Verse. So I don't know if no, we're gonna do Spider-Verse first. So wait, did everyone here see Spider-Verse?
Not TM, but the three of us have.
Okay, TM has it. So TM has already gone anyway, so that's perfect. We'll just transition directly into that discussion. Let's see here. We're going to movie reviews. We're going to go into Spider-Verse first, and then we'll really just try to very briefly. I thought this was going to be the bulk of the conversation, but obviously I misplanned as usual. So we'll try to spend a few minutes on both of these. But wanted to get your thoughts on this. Obviously, again, spoiler alert. We are going to talk spoilers. So be warned if you haven't watched it, definitely go watch it. But come back and watch the rewind of this live discussion. So wanted to hear Primax and Anthony's thoughts on Across the Spider-Verse. Obviously, you won out on our poll for the best of the Spider-Man movies, but speak a little bit more on that. Hey, TM, we're gonna go to Spider-Verse first. Wait, you did watch Spider-Verse, right?
No, he hasn't seen the new one.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna talk to that. I don't know if you want to just step away and I can ping you again, or you can just drop off for the rest. It's
Yeah.
up to you.
Yeah, just shoot me a text when you're.
Okay, cool. All right. So TM will be back after these messages, but we'll leave them on. All right. So who wants to go first, Primax or Anthony? What are your thoughts?
I'll do it first. Across the Spider Verse is perfect. Into the Spider Verse was more of a, like I said earlier, it's more of a experimental stage. Even though the fights are perfect, the fights with Prowler, the story, and everything, but Across the Spider Verse really perfected everything, like from the story, like the character homage, like that, and the characters. I I think that's pretty much it. Like I don't have anything to say about Spider Verse. I mean that it's pretty awesome. I would say my complaint is I'm not sure if it's my problem or yours, but the sometimes my head hurts because of the animation. But yeah, yeah, the ending it's fine, but yeah, still I know I prefer this over the Into the Spider Verse. Yeah.
All right, nice. Anthony, you want to go next? I feel like you're probably going to cover everything that I'm going to say, and I'm just going to be like, what he said.
So for me, I really like that they started the movie with Gwen, and enhanced her story and her situation, right? Because a lot of people know of Spider-Man, or even in the comic books, Miles has a bigger subscription, bigger following in the comic books than Gwen does. So the fact that they started with Gwen, and and I mean they enhance both characters, so you know that this is going to be about both people. But one of the things that they did, which tied into the comic books, is they talked about Miles's relationship with his parents, and it also paid homage to his heritage, being Hispanic as well. And so the part where they talk Spanish or they talk about Spanglish, those things to me are very important as well. That they hit those notes, so that he's not just a black kid, even though with an afro who wears Jordans and stuff like that. The fact that his roommate isn't cool with him being Spider-Man is a bit of a change from the comics, but I kind of like it, because would you really be down to help your roommate? Would you be ducking? I mean, he's like, I don't want to get caught up with the supervillain and all that stuff. And the fact that he was just kind of chilling, and he was like, hey, I think your villain got away, in his dorm room, and just kind of all the stuff that went along in those scenes, to me was pretty funny. I liked how they juxtapose when it was time to be serious versus when it was time to be funny. And it all built upon each other. Even the fact that they were like, you're an outlier, you're an anomaly, because you weren't supposed to get bit by a spider. You were bit by a spider from another universe. Spider-Man in your universe wasn't supposed to die. He died because you showed up, and he died saving you. And so, it's like all this stuff is happening because it's your fault. So he has that weight of literally the entire Spider-Verse on his shoulders. Also, that he names it the Spider-Verse, as opposed to what Spider-Man 2099 was calling it, and it being a lot better name. Also, the Black Spider-Woman, giving you all of, basically, I hate to say this, the Black woman tropes, but still holding her own. And when she shows up, and it was just like, man, she's so cool. Will you be my mom? And like everything else. Again, it does all of this stuff. Even the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other, and he's like, get Spider-Man. And they're like, which one? And then the Spider-Man walks through the door, and he's like, why are you guys looking at me like that? I mean, just the chase scenes, the character interplay. Again, the fact that they built his whole team, and you see his team the original team show up at the end, and the fact that they were pointedly missing because Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, knew that the moment he introduced Miles, that he would be a problem to everyone else. And so that part of it to me was big as well. I mean, so at the end, when you see Spider Ham and you see everyone else show up, and it's like, okay, it's time to do some work. But also, you see the connection between Miles and Gwen when Gwen knows that he's not in the right place, and they now have this spider connection. And it's funny that he shares that with him because Peter shares a similar thing with Silk, who is Cindy Moon, if you're familiar with the comics. So the fact that they're giving that to him and Gwen as opposed to Peter and Cindy Moon is kind of pretty cool to me that they're going to do that in the movie. Also, the Spider-Man on the horse, right? And that the horse has his own name and he wears a mask. Peter parked car. Again, all the little things that they do to enhance the movie. And it's not just a whole bunch of Spider-Man in the background just getting coffee or checking their cell phones or whatever. All of the cool little Spider-Mans have their moments too. That adds to the yes, Moonbot, Spider-Man, India. Just again, all of the stuff, right? There's so many things to hit. I can't hit them all, but they all build into just how great the character Spider-Man and the entire literal Spider-Verse is. Because, I mean, basically for everyone that they've seen on a screen, if you've been alive and you've seen Spider-Man, I mean, even my son who's 4 was like, I know that Spider-Man, I know that Spider-Man, I know that Spider-Man. And there's a reason why we sat at the front of the movie theater, because I knew he was going to lose his mind with all the different ones. Like, oh, he's from this, he's from that, he's from whatever else. I mean, it's just an amazing movie. I mean, if you have problems with it, to me, you're picking nits because I mean, they hit a grand slam.
Like I was gonna say what he said, right? Basically, I think they did a really good job of just modifying it enough because it's definitely different than the original like comic Spider-Verse movie, where Peter was like, 616 Peter was like the linchpin there. He was the chosen one kind of thing. They moved that to Miles. And real quick, have they confirmed this? This must be right. The reason why they chose 42, it's got to be like the Jackie Robinson thing, right? It's got to be, right?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. I was like, that's got to be. But I think just the things that the number of twists that like usually I'm pretty good at like picking out twists, and like a couple of them I picked out, but I did not pick out like every single one of them right until like it came back later, and they made like so much sense after the fact. Like when he gets sent to the wrong universe, and then you're like, oh shit, he's in universe 42, not the one where Spider came from, not where he came from. Stuff like that. That was always like all those kind of small things. Like I usually can pick out a lot and think modern day movies are so predictable, but it wasn't the case for me. And even when it was coming to the ending, I didn't know that it was going to be a trilogy and that was going to be a to be continued. But like you could sense it when you're getting to the end. You're like, there's no way they can wrap this up. It's like impossible. Like we've been in here for like 2 hours plus. They're not going to wrap this up. He just got like caught by the other version of himself. It was just like mind blowing. And when it ended, my daughter, who nowadays is not as into movies, like she can't stand movies that are like she loves them, but when they get 2+ hours, she gets antsy. When it ended, she was like, "What? That's the end?" And she was like, "What is the next movie coming out?" And when it said like next year, we're like, "Oh, at least a sigh of relief because it's not going to be several years." And you guys have already talked about it. The way that they handled a lot of the characters, the art style, like Spider-Punk. The thing is, like, you just thought he was like, an anarchist and messing with things, and then you finally find out he wasn't just doing things randomly. He was on Miles' side, putting together that device for him, seeing the parts in the future when he dipped out and everything like that. You were like, oh, like, see, that's one of the things that I did not catch on at all. I thought he was going to be kind of just a throwaway character, and he became so important to that. I like the thing that they did with the event. What do they call it? The
canon event.
The canon event. Yeah, the canon event.
Yes.
Like I thought that was cool and new, and it was a different take. I mean, it was kind of like the Loki stuff where what were they called in Loki? Were the things that you couldn't change or you would risk like destroying the multiverse kind of thing? Remember they had that in the
Yeah,
Loki?
I forget what it's called, but yeah, I mean the canon event happening, and then they all get the alert on their watch saying, "Hey, canon event in progress." Um, was also, I mean, again, they hit all the stuff. I didn't even touch on Spider-Punk, right? Like the fact that he was
Yeah,
hacking
yeah.
tech to build his own tech,
Yeah.
and he told Miles every step of the way, like, "Don't trust this, don't trust this." And
Yeah,
even
and he was like, even the small things where when Miles first tried to break like the shield with just his
The
fingertip,
shield, yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
like you got to use your whole hand. And at the end, when he was trying to get into the barrier, he uses his whole hand, and Punk gives him kind of a
Yeah.
wink there, like that all those little things. Like you could probably rewatch it endless times, not just for the number of different Spider-Man, but all these little things that they built in, like even into the Spider-Verse, they did those things like the frame rate of Miles when he's inexperienced is different than the frame rate of Spider-Man, and as he evolves and gets better, they change the frame rate so he's smoother and stuff like that. There's so many small things. And the one thing I'll say that I preferred about Across is that I know I said that they took everything but Into and it dialed it to 28. I don't know why I said 28. I guess dialed it to 42. The one thing I thought that they did a better job of was not making the villains so weird looking. Like Kingpin just looked ridiculous, right? Like I get it, it's a
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
but he just didn't look like he belonged in that movie, right? Some people complained about the Scorpion as well. I didn't have as much of a problem with him, but like the character, all the characters here, either felt like they could belong or they were directly referencing an instance of Spider-Man. Like the cyborg Spider-Man looked ridiculous and he's big and he has robotic parts and machine parts, but that's who he is, right? So I feel like they did that. They struck a bound. They pulled back on the things that they thought that they shouldn't do in Across as a sequel, and then they just expanded on everything else. Oh, fixed points. Thanks, Craig Campbell. He said the canon kind of events they're called like fixed points. But yeah, I think overall, again, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to spoilers. You should definitely go see it. I want to go see it a second time. Have either of you guys seen it a second time?
I've seen it twice. I saw it twice the day it came out.
Twice
Yeah.
a day it came out.
Well, I went. I surprised my boys because it was their last day of school, so I picked them up early from school and took them to go see it. And then my wife and I, we go. We have an AMC Warren theater that has like the fancy reclining seats that vibrate, and massage, and heat up and do all that stuff. So we spend some extra money, and we do that whenever the big Marvel movies come out. So we went and did that.
Craig Campbell asked, "Is Peter B. Parker the Jake Johnson one meant to be
No,
616
no, no, no.
Spider-Man?" No, he's
I
not.
think he has a, I think he has a different universe. I don't think he's Earth 616, but he's
No.
based on Earth 616. Yeah.
Yeah. He's actually, what they did is they made him the Spider-Man that he eventually died, or I mean, he eventually dies. In his daughter Mayday grows up to be Spider Woman in his universe, and he dies, but then they end up having a son as well. And so if you read the comics, and you read Spider-Geddon, or the first Spider-Verse comic, that Jake Johnson's Spider-Man ends up dying. Those two end up going into the Spider-Verse and becoming part of Peter Parker's universe. So I don't know. He's probably going to replace Peter Parker, because this Peter Parker is dead, in the grand scheme of things, for the movie. But in the comics, he ends up dying. And the Mayday that you see with the top knot down here at the bottom, next to Ben Reilly's Spider-Man, that's her costume, and that's what she ends up. Or actually,
No,
never
that's
mind, that's Mary
Jane.
Jane's costume that she ends up being in Renew Your Vows. I thought I saw her costume somewhere on one of these, but basically, Jake Johnson, or I call him Nick Miller Spider-Man, is probably going to become the main kind of Peter Parker, to replace the 616.
Yeah, yeah.
In the comics?
No, in the
Oh, no.
movie.
Oh
The
yeah, yeah,
movies.
yeah.
Movie,
Okay, yeah,
but
yeah.
the one that Jake Johnson ends up dying to save his kids in the comics.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about this, because I know we're getting short on time, is also we referenced it before, like all the various like Spider-Man TV shows that we watched growing up. Like they had the Spider 2099 version, Spectacular Spider-Man, the
Spider-Man.
original animated series, Spider-Man. Which other one did they have? The one in one of the more recent ones that my kids watched. I forget what it's called.
Spidey and His Amazing Friends.
No, not the
Oh,
one.
the Disney X, the one that's on
Yeah, the Disney one.
Disney Plus. Yeah, that
One,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah, like they had so many of those, and I love they even had like the comic ninja one, the kind of like manga kind of inspired one that they had when they did like the different series. It was just so cool to see them all. I loved it, and I think even me as a big Spider-Man fan who doesn't read a lot of comics anymore, but still keeps in touch with a lot of pop culture ones. Like I was
Yeah.
still introduced to a bunch of Spider-Man that I wasn't aware of before, like the one that was like a hologram girl. Like I wasn't familiar with her, but she was pretty cool too. Um, yeah, but I loved it. Were there any things that you really like? I know Anthony, you said that you think anything small, you only saw small nitpicky things with it. Was there anything big that you would have changed or that you didn't like?
I think the fact that the spot disappeared largely, like he got what he needed, like the last set of power that he needed, and then he disappeared. And so we didn't see him for the last 30 or 45 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, even
And
longer than
so
that, I felt.
it felt like he was gone for a really long time towards the end of the movie. And so I mean, you know where it's going, right? Like he gets his power, and then they're gonna stop him, and then they're gonna rescue Miles, and then there's gonna be a hero fight at the end, not a spot fight at the end, or it's gonna be interchanged in some way. But to me, that's where this is going. But I felt like the spot needed to be more involved, or I would have preferred if he showed up at some point during the chase when
Yeah, yeah.
when
I
they were
agree.
all chasing Miles.
Yeah, yeah. Those are all good points. What about you, Primax? Any issues that you had with it?
Like I said earlier, I'm not sure if it's my problem or the theater's problem, but there are times where the animation, like my eyes really hurt, like that. I know. I mean, I love the chase scene, but sometimes my eyes really hurt. But overall, I really don't have problems. I mean, I have the same issue with Anthony, where the spot, like he got what he wanted and then just disappear. But yeah, I mean, so far I don't see any like really big issues in the movie so far. But yeah,
There's only one really big thing that really bothered me, but I know it had to be done for the sake of the story. Was that when Miles did the chase scene and he was like, "Well, this was kind of like my whole plan to lure like all 1,000 of these Spider-Man away." I feel like that was kind of a weak reason, especially given how smart Peter is and that the majority of these folks are Peter. Um, None of them would really think about that. Like, oh, maybe he's tricking us, luring us away, and only having like two people back at the base. I felt like that kind of felt slighting of Peter's intelligence as a whole, especially again when there's thousands of Peter Parkers. Um, but that was like my only thing, and again, I knew it had to be done for the sake of the storytelling. But that was the only thing that bothered me more than just like kind of a nitpick thing. Um, because I know Miles is a genius too, but I feel like tactically and so forth, especially given how in the comics that's how they kind of explain why Peter, who has very very clearly less powers and than Miles can outdo Miles right now is based just on his experience and tactical know-how that he's been Spider-Man longer and has the powers longer and knows how to use them better. I feel like tactically he would not have fallen for such a kind of I felt like kind of obvious trick, but that was my only issue. And again, otherwise yeah, this rocketed up to like before, like I said before, Into the Spider-Verse. People were saying it's my favorite best Spider-Man movie ever. I wasn't sure I was on board with that, but Across the Spider-Verse, I could easily say it's my favorite Spider-Man movie, and it was great because it's a Sony movie, it's not a Marvel movie, and it gives me hope that even if they do keep the license, that they'll be able to do Spider-Man justice moving forward. So with that, there's one last question that I wanted to ask, and it was one that I asked my crew before we switch over to Spider-Man. I mean, to Transform Rise of the Beast. Is do you think they would be able to recreate this kind of success in the animated universe with a Peter Parker, or do you think that it really just lent itself? It was kind of like a perfect combination of like kind of the hip hop and the animation style and Miles Morales' story that allowed it to be successful in this way. Because honestly, I couldn't see this being a Peter Parker story being animated even in a similar style. Like I just don't think it would be as successful if they did it with Peter Parker, even with if they replaced Peter Parker and told the same story. I don't know it would have been nearly as successful because just the differences in their story and their background, I feel like it just wouldn't have hit as hard. So I just wanted to ask Zach a really quick question of everyone on the call as well as everyone at home. Do you think they could have hit this magic with Peter Parker instead of Miles?
No, no.
I say
Me
no
personally.
because Peter Parker, there's too much baggage with Peter Parker, right? Because when you introduce him and you say that you're doing a Spider-Verse, all the hardcore nerds like me immediately go to the graphic novel and the story that was told there. And they're expecting that. So if you do something different than him, you get the bitching and complaining that happens with all the Marvel movies, right? Where people are like, oh, this should have been that, that should have been this. But when you say you're doing Into the Spider-Verse, and it's kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, where because Miles is so new and he doesn't have as much history, you have the freedom to paint whatever picture you want, and people can't really complain about it.
For me, Miles, uh, no, sorry. The MCU should be solely on Peter, and then the Spider Verse and the Across the Spider Verse should be on Miles. My first impression of the Spider Verse series is I'm worried if Peter would overshadow Miles, but I'm happy that the Spider Verse is more on Miles. So yeah, I'm really happy that in that uh, Peter wasn't more of a spotlight. Yeah, it's more on Miles purely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of touching back on what we said before, like it was very clever that they had a very close version of the 616 mainline Spider-Man, but a more veteran version that could be the mentor to Miles, and I think that was very successful as well.
Yes.
All right, with that, let's switch over back to Rise of the Beast, and it will just be me and Primax. I did ask TM if he wants to come back, but I don't know if we're going to be able to grab him, and we'll just finish off very quickly. We'll let you go, Anthony. Thanks so much for your time, your participation, your input and
Yes,
opinions. They're
man.
always solid, so we'll definitely have you back on again in the future.
I
Appreciate it, man.
appreciate it. Can I get one quick plug before I get out of here?
Sure.
So, I guess for whatever reason, all this working out, I do paid off. So, if you guys are familiar with the company Super X and their super suits that they sell that work out, they asked me to be a brand ambassador. So, I don't know, you may see me in your Facebook stream trying to sell you a super suit. So, that news came down, or I guess they reached out to me on Friday and welcomed me into that. So, I got the Fantastic Four super suit or whatever. So yeah, maybe you'll see me on the internet at some point in one of those ads. And you can be like, hey, I know that guy. I do paid Saturdays with him, Chatterdays with that guy.
That is sick, bro. Yeah, let us know. Definitely post it up, and I'll share it as
Yeah,
well.
I'll drop the link. I even have a discount code for my friends if they want to use it. So I'll send that to you, or I'll put it in the Super X, Craig. So got connected with them. So I probably should get the name right, if I'm going to sponsor them or they're going to sponsor me or whatever. But so I'm pretty excited that I got the Fantastic Four suit because they were sold, or I guess they didn't have the Miles stuff yet when they did this or when they reached out to me about it. But so yeah,
That's
I'm
awesome.
pretty.
You're a big Fantastic Four fan too, right?
I am huge Fantastic Four fan.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Anthony. All right, we're going to switch over to Rise of the Beast really quickly and just really kind of talk freeform about this for the next 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll close out. I know this is a long one, but hopefully it's been enjoyable. So, Rise of the Beast. I know both of you were voting this as towards the end over the original Transformers movie. Voted over
Yeah.
Bumblebee. Wanted to hear your opinions on what you think it really did well to make it stand out above some of the rest.
So I think one thing they did is they had a good mix of characters. I'm not a Beast Wars guy, so I don't care about Beast Wars. It's fine, like I don't hate it, but I actually cared about these characters. So the fact that Air Razor and Optimus Primal had a history, and I didn't even know who, what was it, Ape Link? I'd never heard of that character before, but there was this whole storyline and like a loyalty between them that carried forward. And then, when she got turned by Scourge, that was like, a really good storyline. I just thought they did a good job with it. Even though I don't care about Beast Wars, I connected with that. So that tells me it's pretty good if someone who doesn't like Beast Wars kind of likes it. And I just liked how they kind of used the characters. Now the character I thought was terrible. Are you talking about just what's good or what's?
Well, let's talk about what's good, and we'll switch over to
Okay.
what we thought could use some work.
So that's what I thought was good, is that they connected the characters and they had good characters, almost all of them, but I have a bad one for later.
Go ahead, Primax.
So I'm gonna talk about what's good first. So I grew up with the Bayverse. I agree with with its faults. But watching Rise of the Beast, I really had a good time. I watched with a pack of like kids, and they really enjoyed it. And yeah, same with here. I really enjoyed it. Same with TM reviews. The cast of characters, like they're familiar, but at the same time they're new. Like RC, the typical RC, but her vehicle mode is the red motorcycle. And then there's Mirage, which is controversial, because when we see the car, we thought it's Jazz, but Pete Davidson, right, the voice actor. Uh, at first, I was I was a bit off, because I have issues with celebrities voicing actors, these iconic characters, because they'll just voice one movie, and then next movie, boof, they're gone. Bumblebee, spoiler, he dies. But I mean, uh, I kind of expected that he lives, but the way the movie uh, uh, did it was very emotional. And then Prime was like, "Oh no, it's my fault that he dies." But I'm happy that instead of Optimus that we see as wise, we see Optimus as a very flawed character. He's a hero, but he makes mistakes. It reminds me of that episode in G1, season 3, the burden hardest to bear. Like when Rodimus was like, "I hate being a leader. I'll be Rodimus. I know I'll be Hot Rod." And then in the end, he became Rodimus again. And then he knows of being a leader. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Wow, that was really good. I liked your observations there. I mean, I'll start with the easy stuff. I think the movie looked good. The action was way better and easier to follow for the most part. The editing was good. That we could see a lot of the cool robots. I mean, that's the thing, that one of the main things that we want to see, right? Good action, and I think it was real well choreographed. Story was overall, like, it's not going to win any writing awards, but it was more solid than most of the tail half of the Bayverse movies. And I do like what you said, right? With the whole Mirage taking kind of the Bumblebee role. We talked about it with my group that we went, the Transformers group that we went with, how it was smart for them to, kill off B, at least temporarily, because otherwise people would be kind of looking for B to be that role, the human, ambassador, like he always has been. But without him in the story, you had no choice but to start like caring about Mirage. And same with you, Primax. I don't like. There are certain issues I have with certain people doing voice acting, because you can't detach them from the actor themselves. Like Pete Davidson has a very specific voice and a very specific comedic style. But I actually didn't mind it as Mirage, even though I felt like the the character didn't match the Mirage we were thinking of more closely to the Jazz, just Mirage.
They disguised the voice a bit too.
Yeah, I didn't think it was all that different. I think they disguised it with like the editing afterwards, like the voice changing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought they did a really good job bringing the various casts together and trying to tell a more cohesive story. And as TM said, you cared about more of the characters, not just the robots, but also the human story. Tied it back. It was a good middle ground between the very human centric story of Bumblebee, which a lot of people like, and the old action style of Baver. So I think it will bring a lot of folks together. And opening with $60 million, I think that kind of speaks to the wide appeal of it. So that was a good. Let's move on to the bad. What are the things that you hated about it, or didn't at least thought could be improved? So I'll go first, real quick. I thought that there was a little bit too much going on in terms of characters that like you didn't get any. I think you may have heard like one line from Cheetor and one line from Rhinox, and they didn't even get very much screen time. So I thought that was a shame, but hopefully that will come out in the sequel. I thought that was a little weak, and then they always have to have it in the Transformers movie, some kind of MacGuffin. This time it was the transport bridge,
Yep.
stuff like that. Like it's always something. If it's not the Matrix, the AllSpark, it's some kind of Matrixy thing or whatever it is. There's always something that has to be the next big thing. If we don't do it, it'll destroy the universe, kind of thing. I feel like they don't always have to play to that. I thought that was very predictable, and the story on some parts with Bumblebee coming back. I mean, they set it up so obviously that. But again, I know it has to be enjoyable and good for kids themselves. But I thought they could have done a little bit better on that. So those were my biggest issues with the story. So let's pass it off to TM to see what your issues with the movie were.
Yeah, a couple of things. One was there were a few really dumb characters that they shouldn't even bothered. Wheeljack was just a total waste. He didn't do anything in the movie. And then he had an accent, and I understand for diversity purposes to have different accents, but it didn't add anything.
Well, I like that they like acknowledge that, right? Like even in the thing, they're like, "Why do you have an accent? You're a robot." And he's like, "Racist," and he's like,
right.
"You're a robot. That can be hard." So I like that. Even that, I like.
Like, why have an accent? And then also the character itself was just kind of useless. Also, what's his name? Stratosphere, I thought was kind of
yeah. Again, there's so many characters that you didn't get enough use out of. Like
right, it didn't really matter. He didn't add to the movie. It was basically just transportation. They could have just taken a regular plane and got in the plane and flew. And he didn't do anything. So there was a couple of characters like that. Mirage, even though I actually liked Pete Davidson. And one thing I learned was he ad-libbed during his audition. And then the director liked his ad-lib so much that they changed the CGI to match his ad-libs, which cost money, which I thought was kind of ridiculous that they would change the thing just to fit Pete Davidson. So I thought Mirage was cool, but I don't like that he was Jazz, right? I mean, he's supposed to be Jazz. There was even a point in the movie, and I forgot what song it is. I think it's Notorious B.I.G. or it's somebody playing in the background, some 90s rap. And in the lyric, it says the word jazz. And it like stops for a moment on him, like on his face, as it says the word jazz. I was just like, why? Why did they not make him Jazz? They could have easily done it.
I think especially now that they finally kind of said that this is a new universe, because that was a problem with the Bumblebee movie. Like they kept saying literally like the producer or the director would say opposite things. Like one would say it is a reboot, some would say it's a different universe. Like they couldn't shit or get off the pot on that, right? And they should have just made a clean break. And I think now they are saying it's a clean break. And if that were the case, they could have made it Jazz. And who cares about the future Jazz getting ripped in half? This is a new universe, right? So I feel like I agree that they should have just ripped the Band-Aid off and said it was a new universe, and then just use Jazz.
Right, and just use them. And the last thing, and one last thing. Near the end of the movie, and this is spoiler. I forget the guy's name. Again, another. So they keep doing this. They keep using throwaway humans that you're never going to see again, and you have no idea what happens, whether his kid brother dies from cancer or whether he survives. It doesn't matter because he's not going to be in the next movie anyway. So just why? Why keep using new characters? Unless they're going to reuse them, then I'm like, okay, I'm all for it, right? Let's have the girl, have the guy and his kid brother in the next movie. But if not there, then what's the point? And then
They're
the
gonna
other
use them,
thing,
like in 2 movies, just like they did with Shia, like they did with Mark Wahlberg. I love the Mark Wahlberg reference, Marky Mark reference. That was good.
yeah, that was cool. That was cool. But the thing I didn't like was he gets the suit, and somehow Mirage can not only change form into a truck or like a garbage truck or a car, and he just changes mass too. But he can also disassemble himself and become an exosuit for a human. Like how? And then he uses the exosuit to hold Optimus from flying into Unicron's, sucking hole. I was like, how does he have the power to do that? But Optimus can't freaking hold on to the thing. It really didn't work for me. The fact that I like the exosuit, but I didn't like that it was Mirage. I didn't like that he had like superhuman, powers that didn't make sense, kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's
I also like that they were like, all right, we're all gonna leave, all just to come back right away. Like they had like that whole. It felt like at the end when he was like handing the torch to Bumblebee the same way Ape Link did to Primal at the beginning, and then literally immediately Primal doesn't die. Like he doesn't make the same sacrifice,
Yeah.
and so that made that whole connection with Bumblebee basically
Right.
passing the torch a moot point, right? Like
Yeah, he didn't learn.
why do
He
that?
didn't learn.
Like why even have that? It's so dumb. All right, what about you, Primax?
Um, just like Timan said, of course, Mirage should have been Jazz. I mean, like even by design, like it's Jazz, but yeah, I'm fine with it. And Eraser and all the Maximals, they transformed like 2 seconds, and mostly in the final battle. Yeah. Same with Noah. I agree with him, and he's kind of like a one-off character. But in the sequel, I hope he comes back, and I'm hoping Noah and his little brother could have been like a spite with Wiki and his older brother in the comics. I think it was Buster like that. The CGI, I mean the CGI, I mean in this industry where CGI has been like pretty overworked. I mean the CGI is fine, but the OG 2007, like the CGI is really really cool. But compared to all the Marvel movies, I mean to be honest, the CGI is just uh pretty okay. What else? Bumblebee, while his death is a bit emotional, I mean it's pretty much expected that he won't die because he's pretty much the mascot. So even though they're gonna like, I don't think like Bumblebee's gonna get replaced by Mirage anytime soon. And my biggest pet, the thing that bothers me is like Scourge is like really powerful in the intro, in the middle, and the climax. He was so easily defeatable. I mean, I love the Prime and his one-liners, but I remember this line with Eraser, like Scourge is invincible because he was like connected with Unicron, and then in the ending, like he was so easily defeated. I was expecting like there was like a MacGuffin, like we're gonna destroy this, so we're gonna sever the connection between Scourge and Unicron. But in the end, like he gets the typical live action Prime gets slash in the face. So what else?
Well, one thing I would say about that is the other thing I didn't understand was, like they made a whole thing about his mask getting taken off, and I thought it was gonna
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
big reveal that it was gonna be somebody that we knew, because like with the time loops and stuff like that.
yeah.
I actually thought it might actually be a future, because I think it happened when Mirage was fighting him. I thought it might be like a weird time loop version of Mirage under there, but it was like a no name face. You're like, okay, like, did we really need to see that his face was jacked up? Like, I thought there was gonna be something more to it than that. Then that was the other thing, like the time loop stuff. They very briefly mentioned that, like Primal when he's introduced, he's like, "We're from your past, but also from your future." But then they never talk about that, and then like it makes almost like a plot hole, because they ran away from Unicron, and then ran away for millions of years or like thousands of years, but then Unicron still finds them in 1996 or whatever. But like, how did they find them in 1996 when at the very opening scene they find him in the future, presumably? Like that's when they first meet, and Ape Link is there. They're in the future, so you would think what happened is they
That's the
used that
future.
transport bridge to go into the past, and then they were on Earth for thousands of years, and this is 1996. But then how did Scourge and Unicron come back to 1996? Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, how
That
did
scene
that
was in
work?
the future.
Was
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I don't think it's in the future because it's like it's based on Beast Wars, but the story it wasn't like Beast Wars. I don't know. Like they say it's it's in the future and they time travel, but I haven't seen any explanation of the time travel happening. They just they just went there in the
No, but
1990s.
it
Yeah,
had to be, because their plane was being destroyed, and he very clearly said, "I was named after you." So the opening scene had to be in the future. Like, it couldn't have been in the past, because it was on their planet that's in the future,
yeah,
or a
yeah.
planet
But
that they were protecting.
I don't know. I really don't know because when I first the when I watched the movie, I thought uh they were unlike the maximum no the maximals were like the ancestors instead of like the other way around where they're the descendants but they time travel back. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Also, my complaint of the movie was same with Stratosphere. Like, funny, Stratosphere is kind of like Jetfire in the no, in the Revenge of the Fallen, where he's the old guy. But to be honest, I prefer Stratosphere because uh, I grew up with the G1 Jetfire and the Cybertron Jetfire, and it's kind of weird seeing in Revenge of the Fallen like he's an old man like that. It's really weird. So it's nice seeing instead of Jetfire being an old man, it's now Stratosphere. So
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just to interject. I'm reading a explained thing, and it says
yeah, yeah.
the Maximals' home planet was attacked many centuries before when the movie takes place. So
but
it's in the
how?
Oh,
past.
Again, if they're from the future, because he very clearly said. Oh, sorry. They very clearly say that Primal's named after Optimus Prime. Like, that is non-debatable.
Right. They didn't explain that part, but it's in the past. The
Wait,
scene takes place in the past.
how does that make sense? How can their planet take place in the past if
No,
they're
no.
from the
Sorry,
future?
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm saying that is what happened in the movie.
yeah, yeah.
Again, that's
I'm
why
not saying it makes sense
it's a
though.
paradox. Like, it doesn't make sense at all
I
that
got you.
that
I
scene will
agree.
take place in the past.
I agree.
Like, it doesn't.
Unless they time travel, right?
Yeah,
Unless they
yeah.
time travel.
Right, but
That's a
they
weird.
will time travel as individuals, not as entire universes, right? So I don't know. Anyways, like, that was one of my fears when when they were bringing the Maximals in. I literally said it at one of the other Chatterdays. I think I
Right.
said, if they do, they've already referenced it's gonna be a time travel movie. Time travel is always messy. Like, I guess it's best that they just kind of do the throwaway line, and instead of trying to make sense, because they knew they weren't going to be able to make sense. So I don't know. Anyway, all right, so I think that's it. All the time we have for this. I do want to finish off with a couple of things on the slides. Let's see here. I always want to go through a couple of comments. So comment time. Want to shout out some of the best comments we had over the last month. So the first one was Transfans Toys 365 said, I killed a fruit fly while rewatching this. So if you guys watched that Ramjet live stream, there was a stupid fruit fly in the background. I eventually killed it, but it was a a nuisance or a gnat, as it were, during the whole thing. And then he said, so when he rewatched it, he said he killed it. And I said, nice, make them all summer, send a message to their friends. The next one was for the Jetstream Thrust review. Scrambled City Custom says, I'm not picking these up. I hate tiny heads. And I just said, it's not the size that matters, it's how you use it. Penis jokes. I love them. They'll never get old. Poppy Guapo says, I too enjoy a nice butt, in reference to my Inferno review, talking about how the butt is very nice on it. Really hope they do make a what's it called, a masterpiece version of that one. I know Rhinox they announced, and that's going to be coming up next, but hope Inferno isn't too far off. And the very last comment for this month is Deformer says, this forever will be remembered as the Blaster episode. Because if you guys saw that while I was trying to do a bunch of comparisons and getting figures out, I had left Deformation Space Blaster on my chair when I sat back down. And I said, ow, my butt. I sat on Blaster.
We'll never forget.
Yes,
We'll
never forget. Never forget. Yeah, see, look, right here. Greg Campbell says, Blue Aster. So, yeah. All right, so those are the comments. Also, as I'm doing every month, I wanted to recognize the top contributors of 2023 so far, so halfway through the year. Shoki was not satisfied with not being first, so in the last Chatterday, while he was a guest, he donated, I think, like $25 on stream at that point. So he's now leading 2023 with $70. Casey Fleming, who I hadn't seen before, haven't seen, randomly came on and donated $49.99, just dropped it on one donation.
And he didn't even put in a request. He just
no comments, nothing. I feel like that was just like somebody at Twitch going on to random YouTube site video live streams that no one was in and just dropped money. Thang Nguyen is rounding out the podium with 31.88. That being said, I will say that it was super close who third place was. I think Princeton Phalanx is now third, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look back, I think Princeton, you were at 31.84, so literally 4 cents. And there was another one that was at like 39. I think Jermaine Sutton was at like 30.99 or something like that. So the three of them are like neck and neck. I'm almost positive now with that Princeton Phalanx is now on the podium. Like I have to, I'll check in just a second. But yeah, I had to like triple check. It was down to pennies on who was third. Like first and second, it was not close. But third, it was here. I got to check.
Yeah, while you're checking that, I wanted to mention we forgot to talk about the end credit scene, which was kind of a big thing.
Oh yeah, my God, the G.I. Joe, my God, what about that?
Yeah, how did you guys feel about that?
I liked it. I was taken off guard, and the fact that they're doing that in the comics too. Oh no, so Jermaine Sutton was 31.84, so he's 4 cents behind, and Princeton was at 29.47. So even with that $2, he's at 31.47. So like 40 cents or behind. So I'm not trying to pressure you, Princeton, but you're still in fifth place right now.
Here comes another one.
But yeah, but Princeton, I think I was looking at it. I think he's the most frequent donator. Like he doesn't donate as much, but he's the one that donates the most frequently. I'm pretty sure. But anyway,
on my channel too.
But yeah, the whole G.I. Joe crossover thing, they're doing that with Image Comics now that they have the license taking over the license from IDW, and they've already started doing the expanded universe. So I'm really excited about that. If they do it well, obviously. Yeah. I mean, they're trying to.
That's my thing. I'm scared. I'm afraid.
Yeah, they can repeat the MCU magic. But the other thing I thought was funny, and we talked about, was when Noah got the exosuit Mirage. The first thing that came to mind was G.I. Joe, like the first G.I. Joe movie. I was like, they did that with G.I. Joe with what's his name, I forget that actor's name, but yeah, when he was Duke and the Wayans, Marlon Wayans, when they had the exosuit in the GI Joe movie, I was like, that was it. So it was kind of a funny callback there.
For me, the G.I. Joe was a bit forced. I mean, to be honest, no, I like my Transformers movie a standalone. But if I recall correctly, wasn't there a G.I. Joe movie? Right? Snake Eyes, right? Uh,
Yeah, they
I
had
forgot
stuff.
about that.
Yeah. So I think it
I
would be good if we, Sony was talking about how he doesn't like a lot of human interaction in the Transformers movie. It would
Yeah,
actually be
yeah.
good if like he becomes a recurring character, but in GI Joe, and that's how they transition him out of the
Oh yeah,
Transformers.
yeah. That's
I'm
really
down
good.
for that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
down for that.
Even though like the ending is a bit forced, it would be nice if Noah was like the protagonist for both Transformers and GI Joes. It's a for me it's a neat concept. A kid like he's fresh from the military, and then he's part of both the Transformers and GI Joe. Yeah.
Hey, if anybody's still here after 2 hours and 10 minutes, they deserve a round of applause.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I always complain about figure action going long, but these always go long as well. I try to
Yeah,
keep them
yeah.
to like an hour and a half, but yeah. I always underestimate, especially with new segments. I just don't know how they're gonna go, and I probably should have kept it to one of the brackets instead of two brackets. Always trying to see. I always try to over deliver though on Chatterdays.
That was fun.
All right, but I also want to recognize not just the top three. So this month we had 10 folks who donated throughout the month. Craig Campbell, who's in the live stream. Dusty Shells, aka Transformers Masterpiece Man. Jermaine Sutton, always a regular. Signed a signature, put my signature for him on his request in his recent shipment from Toy Dojo. Only the second signature I've ever got requested and have done. I'm pretty sure. Keith Lee, Larkin's Lair, also a really popular YouTuber, especially with the shorts. Mike Rogers, one of our first guests and a regular. Princeton Phalanx, who now with the most recent $2 super sticker is on the podium at second as of now. So now it's in your court thing. I don't think he's with us today. Shoki, again, a review. He donated a whole bunch in the last Chatterday. TM also rounding out the donations for this month as well as thanks. So thank you all who do donate. I appreciate every cent that you guys deliver of your hard-earned money. I appreciate it. Speaking of which, one small quick plug for these shirts again from Madhaus Toys. They are on my Teespring page. The link is in description. I'll just show you guys what they look like. I really like this shirt. I think it's a better quality shirt than the prints that we got from Madhouse previously, to be perfectly honest. But there is a dark color, as I'm showing on the screen here, and a light color.
Yeah.
So you can always grab these. They also have different like styles if you like long sleeve or different cuts, hoodies and stuff like that.
It was nice.
Always get
I
that.
got one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I have the black one.
Nice. So I appreciate that. But yeah, just a quick plug on that. I don't get a cent from any of those. Those are all going to go to Madhouse in support of him. I wore this one to the Transformers Rise of Beasts showing that I went to. But yeah, definitely support Madhouse Toys. They're the ones that are getting every cent of this. All right, so I think that's it for that. Going back here, the last thing is, oh no, we're not doing Q&A. Hey, where I skipped these. Oh, sorry. Then next time we'll be back here next month. It's always the third Saturday of every month. That's how we're doing Chatterdays, and I'm always bad at planning these, especially in the recent months about the topics. That said, I don't have the topic for next month. However, it's coming back. It's not going to be part of Chatterday. It's going to be its own thing. But Jeopardy, the Pig for Life edition, will be coming back. I have a whole bunch of new ideas for categories and fun things. So I will be soliciting anybody who's interested in being part of Jeopardy. You just need to be part of the Discord. Join it. There's a link in the Discord below. Anyone's welcome, besides people who are in the previous season. So we'll have 3 contestants. We'll do that 3 times, and then we'll do at end of the year.
Who's the defending champion?
Who was it last year?
Is it BB?
I don't think BB won. Was it Catechist maybe? I don't know. I have to look back. But yeah, so we'll do three of these. We haven't done one in the first half of the year, but we will be doing these. So I'll do three I guess initial rounds, and then we'll do at the end of the year a fourth one for the Tournament of Champions like we did last year. So be prepared for that. That won't be on a Chatterday. It's going to be its own show now. But be prepared for that. That will be coming up in the next month or so. Excited to do that. Excited about the new categories that will be. So if you're interested in that, please again join the Discord. Let me know. There's a Chatterday private channel there. Just let me know that you want to be part of that and volunteer to be a contestant. And that's going to be it, everyone. I appreciate it. Oh, here's the link to Discord and Facebook. But again, thank you, Primax. Thanks, TM Reviews. Thanks, Luigiano /
Thanks.
Mariano. Thanks, Anthony Brown Jr. for being here for the last 2 hours plus. But yeah, any parting words from you, Primax, for our guests?
Of course. Thanks for watching. So a little background of myself. I'm still in college, so right now I'm designing 3D printing transformers, but right now I'm still ordering some printers. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh, and follow me on Instagram at Epuhgak, EPUHGAK. So that's where I'm gonna update some of my prints. But right now I'm still buying the printer. So.
Okay, well, yeah, send over the link, and I'll try to remember to put it in the description for this video.
That's
All right,
pretty cool.
TM. All right, sign us off.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the show, Peg. It's awesome as always. It's all about the community. That's the best part of. I think I would have been out. Honestly, if I had met you and T-Man or just people in general, it would be no fun. So this is the best part. Thank you for letting
Yeah,
us be part of it.
and you were saying that in your area, your local area, you haven't met any Transformers collectors. So I
Yeah.
mean, same goes from me. Having you and T-Man in our
Same
daily
for me
friendship
too.
has been, has definitely added to the enjoyment of the fandom. And who knows if I would have been out, but I think for sure I could definitely say I would enjoy it a lot less without you and the rest of the community and Chatterday. And again, this is why I'm still doing it. I love Chatterdays. They're my favorite part of the reviews that I do, even though they get like no views. It's still my favorite part. So thanks to everyone who spends time with us, spends your hard-earned money on the channel. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, hopefully we'll keep putting out good content. If you have any suggestions at all, leave it in the comments below. Whether it's new segment ideas and again, if you want to be part of the community chat today, join that Discord. I'm not limiting it to anybody in particular. So yeah, if you have any interest in coming on, first timer like Primax or a veteran like TM or Anthony, you're all welcome. Just let me know. All right. With that, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening and also your Father's Day tomorrow. All right. Have a nice weekend, all. We'll talk next
Happy
month.
Father's Day to you guys.
Happy Father's Day.
All right. Bye, all. Bye for lifers.
Bye bye.